Okay, I'm gonna just one take this, I guess, because it's not gonna be pretty, but I do want to get the info that I've discovered out there, even though it's not good. I will try to make a better video on this in the future, but so the reason wave dashing is hard below 22%, not inclusive, is because of this. So let's say I act perfectly out of the down throw and the ambiguous DI. Well, this is frame 1, this is frame 2 of tech in place, frame 3. Now, if my wave dash is not perfect, you'll know. Okay, so to begin, you when you tech chase tech in place, you react to frames 4 and 5 of tech in place. But if your wave dash is not perfect and you act perfectly out of the down throw, frame 4, you're kind of covering it, and I don't think it's reasonable to react if you're covering it. And frame 5, you're also kind of covering it. And there's various degrees to which you cover it based on the angle of your wave dash, or even if you're on the left side or on the right side. Sometimes you just like cover up the leg entirely. Yeah, but I also think this is really hard in the moment to discern. And so that's really annoying. But it's a little finicky, because like, oh, if I acted one frame later out of the down throw, then I could see frame 4 perfectly. But if they were at 11% or 12%, depending on the scaling, then if I intentionally delay my jump by one frame, then then that's actually bad, because then I will be covering up frame 4 and 5 again. And I don't think it's reliable to adjust for that, like try to do one frame late if they're at 0%, and then try to be frame perfect if they're not at 0%. It's just a little weird. Yeah, so you have to do a perfect wave dash. And you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And like, see, because you did a perfect wave dash, it's completely unobstructed. Now, I guess let's move on to why pivoting does not work at any relevant percents. And that is because, so if you notice here, if I dash here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see it just fine, right? It's perfectly good and valid. But the way humans react to stuff is, let's say, if you have to basically, the frame that I act is as soon as my down throw ends, which is, so right here, 57 is when I input my dash. So if you subtract 15, which is human reaction time on average, from 47, you get 43. So, if you look at frame 43, this is frame 43 if they DI fully behind, and this is frame 43 if they DI slightly. And obviously there are very slight positional differences, but I think that it is not reasonable to react to this and choose not to dash if it is fully inwards DI. So I don't think it's reasonable to be like, oh, this is full DI behind, so I will no longer pivot and I will instead turn around. And then if it's slight DI, you do the pivot. So what that means is you will dash anyway, which is fine, right? You can still pivot, like, you can still pivot here. You could still do a very deep pivot. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Yeah, I don't know how to input it, but you can still do a deep pivot. But the problem is you will dash anyway. So this is frame 1 of tech in place, frame 2 of tech in place, frame 3 of tech in place, frame 4 of tech in place, and frame 5 of tech in place. So you'd cover up the leg split once again. Obviously, you can still barely see the legs, but trust me, in the moment, it is extremely hard to react when you are obstructing it. And it's much, much, much easier when you're not obstructing it. So this is a really big problem. And if they, so for pivoting to cover ambiguous DI, you want to delay it a bit, so after your initial dash. So after you dash, you don't want to just pivot like right away. You want to wait a bunch of frames and then pivot, because then it makes sure it clears any finickiness with tech in place. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say it's like a little different from perfect ambiguous DI, like very few values ahead. So let's say like 0.8. Then you'll notice that the tech in place kind of pushes it away. And if I pivot right here, Jesus. Okay. You'll notice they're still behind. So you have to make sure you clear it by doing a very deep pivot. And why I'm bringing this up is one of the tech roles goes further than the other. And so this is why you cannot do forwards pivoting. You have to do a backwards pivot. Because you can instant forwards pivot just fine, but if you want to account for all slight DIs, you have to do a delayed forwards pivot. And the tech roll furthest away from you will not be catchable. So yeah, that is the problem with that. I just uploaded another video on why buffering walk doesn't work. For buffering turnaround, it is slightly doable because even on perfect ambiguous DI, there is a noticeable gap, but the issue is Jesus Christ. Okay. So this is perfect behind slight DI. And you'll notice you don't really notice until frame 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't really notice that it's truly behind until frame 5, which is the same frame that you're supposed to react to tech in place, which is a problem because turning around is like... Realistically, turning around is not frame 8. Frame 8, in my opinion, is the max you can do to reaction tech chase, which is like a dash JC grab or something like that, or some characters dash grabs. But realistically, turnaround grab is not a frame 8 move. You have to like move your stick slightly and stuff. You don't just like bam do it unless you just input dash back and grab on the exact same, exactly frame perfectly, and then you'll smash turn grab perfectly. But yeah, it's pretty rough. You don't notice until then. But if you buffer turnaround, 1, 2, 3, you notice by frame 3 actually, which is a significant benefit. You'll notice this space maybe if my mouse shows up on the screen. Okay, my mouse is not showing up, but right to the left of Sheik's head, you'll see that there is a big space there, which is very valuable because if it is, let's make it the other perfect slight DI value, which is, oh, you could just hold, by the way, you could hold up or down notches to do perfect slight DI, but this is just easiest for me to test things. It's just like some trigonometry shit. You can achieve the same DI with a different value against the gate if that is better for you. Oh my god. Okay. So, and if you'll notice here, 1, 2, 3, that space next to Sheik's head is no longer there, even though this is the other perfect slight DI value. So it is a benefit to do this turnaround method, but it is still a very difficult thing because like if you delay your second turnaround like as much as possible, which is what you should do, then there is a problem that I will tell you in a moment. So yeah, basically you want to turn around once, and then if you don't see that little space, it's hard because what you're doing is you're reacting to something not being there. And that is a lot harder than reacting to something that is being there. So I'm looking for that space next to the head. By the way, some tech roll animations will not tell you what side they're on. Like if they tech roll, I forget which direction, you won't know which side they're on, but it won't matter. So don't like freak out about that. But yeah, so you're noticing, oh, I didn't see the little gap thing, and then you turn around and grab. But it is still very hard because you only have like 3 frames to input turn around grab. And then on top of that, if you have your rhythm perfect, where you turn around as late as possible, then the issue with that becomes, what if they mistech? Then that becomes a problem, which luckily we have a solution for. So here, let's do this. then by the time I turn around and crouch, because it takes a while to squat down before you're allowed to dash, you can't really catch them in time. But one solution is you can actually react to everything while facing backwards. If they neutral get up, you go like that, or even like that, that's fine, because it's very reactable. Even this is fine. If they get up attack, you know, same thing, you just eat the get up attack. And then you can just boost grab the furthest away from you roll, and then dash JC grab the other one. So that's fine. But something even better is if you turn around once. This doesn't work the other way around, by the way. If you turn around once and they miss tech, jab reset actually still works. Whereas if they end up behind you and you don't turn around after the down throw, the jab will not work. It's something to do with Fox's knee bone structure that like makes this happen. So that's good info. So that might be something to look into in the future. But once again, it is very, very hard. And I think it's really easy to mess up your rhythm. Because imagine if they do slight DI, but they do it really bad. Then like this. So it's like, it's still pretty good slight DI in the moment. But in the moment, I turn around once and I'm like, oh, I already know what side they're on. So I'm going to turn around again really fast. And that sort of ruins your muscle memory because you're trying to like get used to delaying as much as possible. So I don't know if I like this method a lot. But it might be possible with this method. But yeah, I don't really like it. Let's see, what else was there? Oh yeah. Another thing was where's Falco? You'll notice, so my rule of thumb is because Falco's tech rolls are longer, but his drawback is he is in the air longer after you down throw him. There's a different way to approach it, which you might already know, is you change your angle when you wave dash. So normally you, when you wave dash against Fox, you do like halfway between regular wave dash angle and straight down. So maybe like here, is fine, something like that. But against Falco, you use like a vertical firefox notch. So maybe like here. And the reason that's good is, and you do that because the tech rolls are very long. Against Fox, you have to do a stricter angle because he hits the ground earlier, and so his body pushes you away if he techs in place. And you want to just have a good enough angle so that you completely clear that. And that, yeah, so that's why you need to do a stricter, a more deep angle. And his rolls are so easy to catch that it doesn't matter. But for Falco, this is why you adjust your angle to be a little more shallower, but because he's not in the air very long. It's, down throwing, in terms of air time, down throwing a Falco at 0 is about the same as down throwing a Fox at 22%. So, so yeah, that's why you do this. Just a very shallow notch. It's easier if you have notches, but it's pretty doable even without it, because during the down throw, you just buffer that wave dash angle, and then change your angle if it's a different DI. And so, what that means is you should be able to tech chase pretty well, but surprisingly, under 22%, you have a different issue versus Falco, where yes, versus Fox, you had the issue of you need to do a perfect wave dash, otherwise you cover up the crucial reaction frames of tech in place. Versus Falco, under 22%, you have another issue, but it's completely different. And what that issue is so this is about 7.6 is the perfect behind slight DI value, but people are going to be a little different with their DI. So imagine if it's like 0.8, which is still like not very different. The vertical doesn't matter very much, but just to like prove it, I'm gonna try to get it to be perfect. Okay, there. Okay, so you'll notice that you see the shine came up there. If I do, okay, that's fine. That should work. It might not be that big a deal here, but like, let's say if it's like in the moment, if they do something like maybe 8.8, then let's make it tech place. There. And so they end up behind me. And the reason this is he's not in the air for as long as you would like for that strict of a wave dash angle. Does that make sense? So he hits the ground. Basically, this angle is so like close to wave dashing in place, this is the wave dash back angle, that he's not in the air for as long as you would like. And so I basically figured, oh, if they DI a little bit more back than slight DI behind, it should be fine to adjust my angle, right? Like that. So I'll just adjust my angle on reaction during the jump squat frames. But even something like this, we're kind of close, but not really. You cannot catch the tech roll away, really. And that's the problem. If you adjust it and then go like that, then it's very, very hard to catch the tech roll. And so what do we do about that? I realized that the reason this happens is the opposite. So what happens here is... so let's say I act one frame late, and this is a little tricky. 1, 2, 3, and then, yeah, let's say I do a perfect wave dash, slightly backwards. Then I do not clear the body. But if you do an imperfect wave dash, let's see, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Then you do clear the body, and you're actually quite close to them. So you don't you're not like here where it's hard to catch the tech roll. It just consistently lines up with the correct spacing you want if you do an imperfect wave dash. And luckily, because Falco is in the air for so long after the down throw, you don't cover up the crucial reaction frames like you do with Fox at this %. Because he's in the air longer, so the way the frames line up is, you know, it's fine. So that is really important information. Now, moving on, there is another possible thing to beat ambiguous DI versus Fox that I'm labbing. It seems really hard, though, and not better than wave dash at the moment, but maybe with practice it might be a contender. So, so what it is, let's see, let's just make it do like 7.5. Oh yeah, it's very, very random info, but if your down throw is not stale at all, there's a good chance they will be in the air after the down throw, 1 frame longer. And then if it's stale even a little bit, it becomes more normal, and then they're in the air for 1 frame less. Which is important to know for, like, if they DI full away, especially Fox, you don't have that much time to wave dash forward and grab, because yeah, because they DI'd full away, they're in the air for significantly fewer frames than if they did slight DI or something like that. I believe if you are 1 frame late on acting out of the down throw and your wave dash is 1 frame imperfect, you have to do a frame perfect grab at 0% to get the regrab on tech in place if your down throw is even a little bit stale. Hopefully that all made sense. Anyway, this is one more thing I've been labbing, and yeah, you can see why I put off making this video, because I'm just rambling and there's just too much information to talk about. But so if you, I was labbing and I noticed that, like, other than turnaround helps a little bit, wave dash perfectly lets you pancake under it. The only other animations I could find that let you see the tech in place and which side they're on more visibly are jabbing and crouching. So basically, it's to explain what I mean, basically if you like jab after the down throw, it's easier to see which side they're on and to see the tech in place more clearly. But there are some issues with that. And then, like, same with crouching. Same like how you pancake with the wave dash. If you crouch, you can see pretty easily. And this got me thinking about possible tech chase methods, but I noticed that if I wanted to, like, jab and then, like, let's say buffer turnaround if they ended up behind me, like I would buffer a turnaround in case it was a slight DI that was a little more on this side. So I would jab like that, and then I would buffer a turnaround during the jab to get it. But the problem with that is, I believe that would make it go. So if I do that, I will buffer this turnaround no matter what, and I won't be able to get the roll. And the reason this is because if I turn around, I have to wait for the entire turnaround to complete, and before I can dash forward. I believe that's right, yeah. I guess, actually, you don't have to, but even so, you would have to interrupt it. And for the other tech roll, okay, so if you turn around like this, you can interrupt it with dash forwards, but you cannot interrupt it for dash backwards. So the other roll would be even harder. So I would just jab, turn around, and if they rolled the other way, I would have to wait for the entire turnaround to complete to get that. And this one, you also have to release the stick for at least one frame, and I don't think this is reasonable or possible. Yeah. And so that's an issue I had, but I noticed something with crouch. So the deal with crouch is you can... Okay, so I noticed... God, where do I begin? So, if you crouch, I noticed a couple characteristics that can help you grab things without having to, like, time a turnaround, because, after all, we want a frame 8 reaction at worst. And turning around, at least on a GameCube controller, is a tilt input, and it will, like, if I just, like, oh, I'm gonna turn around and grab, it will not be, like, a frame 8 thing, unless I deliberately smash the stick and then time the grab button perfectly. So I dashed back there, but I interrupted it perfectly, and I don't think that's reliable. So I was messing around with crouch, and like if you crouch like this, then the problem is if you want to act out of crouch, if you want to grab taking place here, you have to do that. If you want to grab, if they end up on the other side and they taking place, you have to do a frame perfect smash turn and grab. And I think humanly on a GameCube controller, it takes like 2 frames to dash out of crouch, and then you have to input the grab perfectly. And so I don't think that's reasonable either. And then if they end up behind you and they miss tech, you have to do a reverse crouch reaction, which is possible but annoying. And then you can still get the rolls easily. But yeah, I kind of ruled that one out because I think if they end up behind you and you doing this is, even if you're perfect, I think it's like it takes you too many frames reaction wise. I could be wrong, especially on a box controller. I could be wrong, but yeah. Anyway, I was experimenting with how turnaround works, and I noticed that if you turn around, then at any time during the turnaround, if you input grab, you will do a turnaround grab. But 1, 2, 3, 4. If I jump up to and including the 4th frame, and then I grab, you will grab facing the right way. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I jump, you will grab facing the other way. So what this means is, after the down throw, you can buffer crouch, and if they do any other DI other than slight DI, you still have time to release. So like if they say DI'd away, I'm holding down during the down throw on my left stick, but I could still like see that it's away DI and simply release the stick, and then I don't enter crouch at all. So that's not an issue. But I'm holding down during the down throw, and if my suspicions are right and they do a slight DI, I buffer crouch, and during the crouch I do this input with my stick. I immediately go like that. I do a little quarter circle motion. And so basically I want to do this, where I crouch and then I turn around. And you just hold it out for a bit so that it actually happens. And what that does is it lets you, if it ends up being in front, so like this, or if it ends up being behind, I'll start with, then you simply just let the turnaround happen, and then interrupt any part of that turnaround animation with grab, and you don't even need to jump, and it will just work. But if Jesus, okay. But if it is in front, then you can use a frame 8 reaction, jump cancel grab, and interrupt the first 4 frames of the turnaround animation. And then you can do it. And this is really awesome because if you crouch, the crouch and turnaround are perfectly bufferable. So after the down throw, you will do a perfect crouch, like frame perfectly, and you'll do a perfect turnaround frame perfectly as soon as the game lets you. So these aren't things that require good timing. You just do the motion and it will buffer all of them. So if you do this motion, frame, I believe there's 17 frames of tech in place before Shine comes out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 26 frames. And if I crouch and then buffer turnaround, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I start turning on frame 16. And so that means I have 17, 18, 19 to input jump and then grab. Okay, it just didn't work. My math was wrong. I have from till frame 17? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now if I uh, 18. Okay, cool. So I believe it's frame 18. I have to input, yeah, the jump cancel for the grab. And frame 19 is if you are just regularly grabbing tech in place without any shenanigans, because grab is frame 7. And luckily, if they end up behind you, you actually can just grab normally. So you can just grab on frame 7, so that's not an issue. But it's a frame 8 if they are on this side. And luckily, you can still get the rolls, but barely. So like I said before, if you turn around, you have to wait for the entirety of the turnaround to finish before dashing if you want to dash back. But you can interrupt the turnaround at any point with dash forward. And I think it is a little bit easier if they tech roll this way, left, to just use dash grab rather than jump cancel grab or boost grab. And so I think that is worth knowing. But boost grab should still work. But getting this requires a good understanding of when your tilt turn will end, but it is possible to get this roll still. Let's see if I can get it once at least to show. I have never really practiced. This is all proof of concept, so forgive me if I miss it a million times. Okay, I got one. And yeah, but there is one more problem. What if they mistech? And the problem with that is, you know, if they mistech and they're on the wrong side, then you either have to do a backwards crouch reaction, or luckily, because Fox is the only fast faller that has trouble SDIing Sheik's jabs at early percent, Falco and Falcon can do it very easily. So luckily, you can just jab instead, either while you're doing this turnaround, or, like I talked about before, if you turn around jab, it still works. So that is a saving grace here. But you could backwards crouch reaction, which I do not recommend. But if they do end up in front of you, you can still crouch, check chase that. But jab is perfectly fine, I think, at early percent. And then after 22%, you can pretty much tech chase just fine without having too much issue. So I guess I'll turn off staling. Put them at 22, and you should be able to wave dash pretty fine. I guess I should have kept scaling on, actually, but whatever. Let's say I'm a frame late and see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you do actually cover up both of them if you're a frame late and you do a imperfect wave dash. But you can still react to frame 6, and they would have to do a frame perfect shine to get out anyway. So it's not the end of the world. I did a bad wave dash angle, but you know, you get the idea. It is the same amount of lag, but let's see what else was on my mind. But yeah, I think this new method with the jab and the buffer, or not the jab, the crouch. I tried jab before, but I think the math doesn't line up as well. It is very good, because I think if you jab and turn around, I think you turn around too fast or too slow. I can't remember. But yeah, I'm rambling long enough. I do want to end this by saying, if you have a possible idea for how to beat ambiguous DI, odds are I've probably tried it. So please try to do a lot of research before saying stuff, because usually there's an ambiguous DI that's very close to the regular ambiguous DI, which they could even hit on accident pretty often. That beats it, or something like that. So yeah, just do your homework first, please, because I'm tired of people messaging me about buffering walk and stuff, because that shit is trash. Anyway, this video is too long. Bye.